this thing on? Oh. Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Tsu-Kun, and today we're continuing the game playthrough of Katawa Shoujo. This is also a sound test, so for the very first parts, I am going to, what was it? Yeah, I'm gonna just record like about 5 minutes or so, and yeah, let's get it on. Don't worry if the save slots are like that, it's okay. Anyways, the students roll into the class for the Saturday morning sessions. Each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people that have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through class until lunch break, and then our time is our own. Muto lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some pages and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partly be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Chizune aren't present. Probably doing some council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Muto approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say. Not knowing what is going on, I wait silently. So tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Muto to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see, and how is your condition? The pause before condition seems a little unnecessary. Haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Muto's face. Good, that's good. The school nurse was a little concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask that you don't blow us off so freely, as much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school. You have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are, and how to maximize your potential within them. Do you follow me? I guess. I mean, I don't plan on doing things stupid, so yeah. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there that realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. Well, yeah, you gotta keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week, there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over, and he's gone back to the standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think in hindsight that I'd prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, sir, shall we? My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For instance, I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the class. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the boards. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to a near silence that Muto and I had left in it before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzzes around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs at once, as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink, as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend, with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither try to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil laid splinters against the papers just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sound of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling for sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in class. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and runs to Lily. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall, and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eyes out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her thought, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. But why would Lily leave her devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary, going by Hanako's reaction. ... Ah, that's right! I think Lily mentioned something about going into town today before Rin bumped into us. Thought of that walk makes me look outside. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around. And enjoying the afternoon makes me yearn to get out of school, or at least do something to sit here. Giving in to one of my worst vices, procrastination, I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or Monday, or on any day other than this one. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person, really. I guess I'll catch up with him later. It doesn't strike me as the... oh, whatever. Changing tacks, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's got to be something to do that can kill the time. You know, this could go either way, but I'm gonna go for a walk in town. Following Hanako to the library seems a bit intrusive. There was a reason she left the classroom after all. And that aside, I do want to catch up with Lily. At the very least, I'd like to thank her for looking out for me, despite her other, obviously taxing duties. I guess I'll walk around town. With any luck, I should be able to find Lily. The exercise will do me some good as well. Walking through the school courtyard to the gate, I give a small nod to a couple passing classmates, gestures being returned in kind. Even from here, the shouts of the sports club members can be heard. From the sheer volume of the din, track must be packed right now. I remember what Lily said yesterday about being dropped right in the middle of a busy time of school. While I'm trying to get my bearings and catch up on studies that I've missed, everyone else here is doing normal school activities. The feeling of being a foreigner still hasn't dissipated, at least not yet. Well, I guess not everything's bad. This is a private school. That much is easily noticed when walking around outside. Not only are the school grounds huge, but the buildings themselves are immaculate and quite divorced from the dime a dozen concrete blocks of public schools. There's also the fact that there's a much stronger feeling of community here, or at least a friendlier atmosphere. At my old school, it was generally accepted that people would keep to their little cliques and be done with it. Eventually, I reached the gate and began to walk down the road and into town. Well, that was fairly productive. Having seen a fair portion of town, even including the houses perched on the hills around the outskirts, I decided to take a walk around the park and before heading back. Living in the city all my life, the total lack of smartly dressed businessmen and fashionably dressed girls strike me as incredibly unusual. All that's to be seen are the odd elderly person shuffling along the sidewalk and assorted business chatting pairs of middle-aged women outside the small storefronts. Sorry if I'm failing here miserably. Walking along the road to the park quickly distracts me from them, though making me realize that I perhaps pushed myself further than I should have done to see as much as I could. As my breath begins to wheeze and my chest tightens more and more, I give up the prospect of soldiering on. After a quick glance around the park as I enter, I take a seat on the wobbly old bench that I notice near a couple of vending machines. For minutes on end, I sit with my head bent over, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I feel more like an old man than a teenager who should be in the prime of his life. To stand the hospital, the surgeries, and the medication must be taking the toll on me. Eventually, my breathing returns to normal and the muscles in my chest loosens, not without a fair measure of relief. I guess this means the end of my little sojourn through in any case. There's a cafe in the far corner, so I'll stop by to quench my thirst before heading back. The little bell above the door signals my arrival to an empty counter. For a few moments I stand there waiting, my eyes every now and again drifting from one end of the counter to the other, searching for a service bell. Eventually a door somewhere behind the counter opens. The person emerging from it takes me by complete surprise. Yuko! Hi, I have no idea you worked here. I really have no idea how to address her either, given that she is technically school staff as well as apparently a waitress. Yes, She quickly paces up to the counter before flinging her upper half downward in an overacted bow. Welcome to Shanghai. May I take your orders? Oh boy, I don't even know how to do voices here now. Straight down to business, I see. I don't know, well, some coffee, please? Yes, certainly. I'll make it right away and bring it to you when it's done. Thanks. Yuko's formality takes me aback. She seems to take her job very seriously. Obeying her instructions, I turn around and quickly glance around for a free table. Considering the cafe seemed to be empty, this is a simple task to accomplish. As I walk towards a table adjacent to the windows, I notice a flash of yellow around one of the table dividers. Sure enough, no more than a glance is needed to ascertain that it is a certain Sato at the table. That said, I don't recognize a suited figure across the table from her. Blonde hair, fair skin, and only a little shorter. She? I think she must be a relative, since the two are all but silent at the suited figure taking a swig from a cup of coffee. I decided to greet Lily. Some part of my coming here was in order to meet her after all. Hi, Lily.
Hisao?
Yeah, nice to meet you again. The suited girl looks up, noting my uniform with a relaxed smile. Know each other? I guess. It's as good as approximation of our relationship as I can think of.
Can I take a seat?
She says this to the air beside me, but the message is clear enough. Then I take a seat beside her.
I suppose some introductions might be in order. Hisao, this is Akira Sato, my older sister. Akira, this is Hisao Nakai, another Yanmaku student.
Looks like my guess was correct. The newly introduced Akira gives a nod, which I return. What I don't return, however, is the almost analytical gaze with which she looks me over. As she does, Yuko walks up to the table and carefully places the coffee onto the table before bowing and taking her leave. I know. Gently bringing my hand at the side of the cup, I realize that it's already as just the right temperature to drink. After taking a sip, the flavor turns out to be just as good as the temperature. Yuko seems a lot better at this than being a librarian. I take a good long drink before relaxing into the seat. It takes mere seconds for Akira's exclamation to come to an end. Apparently becoming quickly bored with the activity, she turns to her sister. So, how's school recently? It seems Akira's entirely unconcerned with someone she doesn't know at all, listening to everything they say. Not that I mind. Leaving them to the chatting, I sit back and continue drinking the pleasantly aromatic coffee.
Sound like it's pretty busy for ya then. At least I'm not cooking your meals after school anymore.
As they talk, I slowly realize that I'm entirely unable to gauge Lily's emotions through her eyes, as I would for any other person. It becomes slightly unsettling as I subconsciously focus on that fact.
Whoa, so cold. Weren't you just cooking for yourself anyways? I only ever got leftovers. That's not the point. Are you managing to feed yourself at least? I can cook without blowing myself up, you know. Mostly. That's... It's fine. I need to work sometime anyways. Lily?
Everyone present is momentarily distracted by Yuko, who places a cup of tea on the table for Lily. Taking the moment to glare at her watch, Akira leaves herself on her seat and gives me a quick nod.
Well, I best be off. It was nice talking to you, Lily. Akira, do you have to?
Lily looks genuinely mournful at her sister suddenly leaving. It doesn't seem like she might have the wrong idea.
Sorry, I need to get back to work. They'll be on my neck again if I don't make it back quickly.
So informal. Akira's trim and tidy appearance would give anyone the wrong impression of her.
Bye, Akira.
Come on, don't look so down. I'll be around again soon. See us. With that, she waltzes out of the Shanghai with her hand held high. Lily still looks pretty depressed, so I try to make some small talk in an effort to take her mind off of it. She seems nice.
We used to live together, but now that I live at school, we hardly ever see each other.
Despite Lily having been quite affable, I still don't really know much about her, hindsight, it's surprising just how much she's extracted from me, really. You used to live together. Was it someone around you?
It was pretty far south, so the trip into Yanmaku was fairly long. With her working hours getting longer and Yanmaku being so far away, there was little choice in the end but to move into the dormitories.
Well, that explains the chatter about cooking. Evidently regaining her composure, she livens back up, at least in part.
I take it you better rest. You're better rested now.
Sumimasen?
You sound like less exhausted than you did when you first came in.
To be able to pick out my breath like that, she must have pretty good ears. Yeah, ended up walking all over town despite only planning to take a short walk down here. Reminded of my thirst from the walk, I lean forward to take a sip. Without further ado, Lily starts on her cup of strong-smelling tea. Guess I'd better get going back to Yamaku. There's only so long I can stall studying for, and I want to get a good night's sleep before the festival. Standing from my seat, I take the coffee-stained cup from the table.
You're leaving?
Yeah, you're going to head back as well. It's getting kind of late. For a moment she pauses before lifting her face over her teacup, as if she was looking at me.
Yoko, could we have one more coffee, please? Okay, I'll bring it out. I'll bring it right away.
That's not suitable. That's not subtle. She gives a short giggle at my frank assessment of her maneuver. It's surprisingly childish and carefree given her otherwise collected appearance. In the end, though, I have little reason to hurt fears. To be honest, I can hardly say no, all things considered. Giving a manufactured sigh, I take a seat opposite to her. Wanting company, then?
I'd say that it's more that I was wondering.
I see she's in questioning mode again. She does seem to be unusually interested in me, or at least curious.
Do you have any siblings?
Not exactly an unexpected tangent. No, only child. To be honest, the idea of having someone that close makes me a bit envious.
Interesting.
Raise an eyebrow, which of course goes unseen. The short silence communicates the question well enough.
It's just that the others have said the same thing before. It's a difficult subject to try and think about objectively, given that I've always had someone like that.
I can mostly understand what Lily means, given that it would be hard to place oneself outside of a situation they've been in all their life. She and her sister must have a pretty close relationship, taking pains to interrupt us as little as possible. Yuko dutifully comes over and places a cup on that table. Lily thanks her as I sit back, taking in this vexing girl in front of me. Despite always seemingly being on her guard and in control of herself when talking to others, she has an almost childlike curiosity about other people. That said, those rare moments she seems to slightly lower her guard and the most insightful into how she thinks. Reaching forward for my drink, I realize something I probably should have noticed earlier. I think I'm starting to become kind of curious about her. Despite making good pace, it's already nightfall by the time I reach the large iron gates in front of the school. Well, it's nice to have plenty of time to wander around by virtue of living right next to the school. I can't help but get the feeling that very few students actually take the opportunity. Compare the number of students I see milling around on campus during free time. Startling rare to see anyone around town. Given the large number of accommodations and facilities that the school offers, many of them might simply not see any point in venturing outside, let alone people such as Hanako and Kenji. Makes me wonder if students like Shizune, Misha, and Lily are the exceptions for the school, rather than the norm. As I wander back to my dorm, I continue to compare my old school with Yanmaku. As I do so, I begin to
be surprised that I managed to get even this used to everything that's happened to me.
And now, we will continue with the final conclusion once I see the results of this sound test. So I'll be right back, everybody. And be right back with the final act of this whatchamacallit. Be right back!